inkproducts.com has now released this how-to video. We're going to show you how you can prime your printhead up without even removing a cartridge. Now on these printers, these Epson printers, for no reason, you'll drop a color. That's what I call drop a color. So here, I ran a nozzle. Black looks good. My magenta and yellow look okay, but my cyan is not working well at all. So now a lot of people think, well, that's a clogged printhead, and they go in there and they want to use cleaners and everything to clean it. Very rarely does the Epson printhead clog unless you're using a poor quality ink, or if you let it sit week after week, then it dries out. So I got a set of our refillables in there, and I deliberately blocked the air hole so it would cause this problem, just so I could do the video. A couple things I want to point out. On the Epson printhead, it goes over to a capping station on the right hand side. Let me show you. Sits in there like that, over that. Now these can get damaged. There's a rubber gasket around the outside. Basically what it does, it goes up under the printhead, seals, and then the motor kicks on and it sucks ink to fill the printhead cavity. These eventually can go bad. Now if the printer's new, very rarely do they go bad, but you can buy these. You can get these if you ever needed to replace them. The other thing we get a lot of calls on is cartridge cannot be recognized. That could be a lot of things that cause that, but one of them we noticed that on every one of these printheads there's a little printhead spring for every color. Sometimes they'll get damaged, they'll get broken, or they fall off. And then no matter what cartridge you put in there, you're going to get the same thing. Cannot recognize, cannot recognize. Now, normally if you're using refillables or CIS, that means to reset the chip. And if you tried all that, still doesn't work, get a flashlight, go in where the cartridges are, open this up. You want to take a look at them real close. There's the cartridges. If you pull it up, the springboard's right in the front of every one of these cartridges. But that's not the case with this printer. Okay, it just dropped color. So I'm not going to show you a simple way to bring it back without doing too many cleanings. The maximum cleanings you should do are 3. And then let the printer sit. If you go beyond 3, then you're just going to make matters worse. You'll drain that cavity even more. Now if it is clogged, I'll show you how you'll know if it's clogged or not. We have our head cleaner. Now there's no ammonia in it, there's no alcohol in it. You don't want to use Windex, you don't want to use ammonia, all these things that are suggested on the internet, I don't recommend, especially on the new Precision Core printheads. Ammonia can damage the gold contacts, and alcohol can damage the gasket seals. So, first thing I would do is remove this, make sure it's filled with ink. Guaranteed. If you don't have it filled with ink, it's not going to work. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to change cartridges. I'm going to bring them over so I can slide this back and forth. You can't slide it back and forth when it's under power. You'll damage the printer. So let me close the scanner. I'll go to, now I've already done 3 cleanings. I've got sheets here. It didn't help. So now, what Epson would like to see you do is just keep cleaning, because you'll waste all the ink in your cartridge and have to buy a new cartridge. Okay, I'm going to go to maintenance. I'm going to go to ink cartridge replacement. Click start. Open it up. It's going to come over to what we call the cartridge change position. Now I'm going to unplug the printer. In this case, I killed the power. Now I can move the cartridges. Now you're going to get a piece of paper towel. I'm going to show you how you're going to do this. Towel a couple of times, and it's about the width of the print head. So I'm going to put it down in there. Then I'm going to slide all the cartridges over the top of it. And this is going to tell me if I have a clogged print head or if the print head is functioning. Okay, there, I've got it over the paper towel. Now, it's only the cyan I'm having problems with, so that's the only one I'm going to do. Now, all you need is a ordinary syringe. I'm going to pull it up and fill it with air. Now, this is the little breather hole on the refillable cartridges. That should never be plugged up. The air has to go in for the cartridge to work. So now I'm going to go right over and by that hole, and I'm going to snug that syringe tip in there. I'm going to go slowly now. I'm going to push down. I'll feel a little resistance. If I was going to push and push and I couldn't push anymore, that means that the print head's clogged. That's where you want to use the cleaner. So I just push it down. It'll come back up. Now I'm going to slide it over so I can look if I got any cyan ink on the paper towel. There it is. So it tells me my print head's good. I just dropped color. And a lot of these Epsons do that for a lot of reasons. It could be it's an older printer and the cap station over here is not drawing the ink down correctly, and you have to do too many cleanings. You have to do it too often. So now I'm going to push it all the way back over. Didn't take much. Didn't take much. Now if I had more than one color, I would have done them all. Now let's turn the printer on and run a cleaning and then a nozzle check. The cleaning, you can hear it clean. Now after this is complete, I'm going to go put some ink back in that cartridge because I don't know how much ink that I really flushed out. Not much. Looks like a lot, but it's really not that much. Okay. Now let's go to maintenance again. All right. Okay. Okay, here it comes. First one out. Now see, it's almost right back. Now you see that little white area there? That's still air. That's what causes the problem in these print heads. You get air in that print head, and it'll look like you have a print head clogged, but it's not clogged. Now normally I would just leave that alone. I'd set it for plain paper, high quality. Like if you run 50 sheets in normal plain paper, you could drop color. So you should always set it at a higher quality. But I'm going to do one more cleaning and we'll take a look. See, like up in the black there, I'm not going to try to clear that out by cleaning it. Unless there was more of that, then I'd go in there and I'd prime it up with the syringe, just like I showed you how to do. One, I'm going to say all colors except black. I'm going to say all colors. Now this will take about a minute to 2 minutes. And I took one of these boards out of another Epson. Now you don't have to replace the board, you just have to replace if you get constant cannot recognize, and even if you put a brand new Epson in, you still get the same thing. Well, I would suspect that one of these contact springs are bent. So they slide right in. And we have them up on our website for the XPs and workforces. But they just actually slide in. You don't have to take it out of the printer. Take a little screwdriver and you go right under the bottom here and they'll lift it right out. Do it right in the printer. And then put the new one back in. And there again, if you have a bad capping station, you'll know it because your printhead constantly loses color like that. And we're going to be carrying these also on our website. That was number 2. Let's see what it looks like. I've got the previous one right down here. Okay, now let's take a look. Much better. Much better. See that? Now you see the one little white break right there? I'm not going to clean anymore. You don't want to, because all you're doing is chasing that air bubble around. It'll clear up by itself. Let it sit overnight and the next morning it'll be gone. So everything looks pretty good. Black came back. Okay, now let me run some copies and I'll show you. I'll make some test sheets. I'll print some out. Okay, now I got a couple of test sheets that are going to print out. Now I always print on plain paper but high quality because you're keeping more ink in that cavity. You have less trouble with the printer. And because you're refilling cartridges, you're not going to use that much ink. Actually use more ink if you have to keep doing cleanings. Awesome. Awesome. So that's how simple it was to fix that problem. I get a lot of emails about that problem, so I decided to do this video. Also did a video for the CIS. So if you have a CIS, we show you how to correct the problem like drop color. Blue on 8.5 by 11. Because I want it to pop up and say cartridge cannot be recognized. And I'll show you. When it says cartridge cannot be recognized, refill only that cartridge. You don't have to refill them all. I mean, does it hurt to refill them all? No, it doesn't hurt. But then your ink monitor will be out of sync. And as that cartridge, or that cyan that we're having trouble with, it's perfect. It's beautiful. That's how simple it was to fix it. So I'm going to be running some of these solids now till it comes up, and then I'll be able to show you what I'm talking about. Cartridges, so I'm running a lot here trying to, and it's still showing it's half full. It's another thing I want to point out. If your ink monitor on a lot of these printers are not 100% accurate, because every Epson cartridge, when you take it out, it says it's empty. There's always a certain amount of ink left behind. You have to do that. Otherwise, if they ran completely out of ink, you'd get all air in there, and boy, you'd be in one problem after another. So, if you get out of sync, what I call out of sync is, in other words, you don't fill it in time when it says recognize or cannot recognize, you don't fill it, or you fill it before that time, you'll get out of sync. But remember, the most important thing, the more ink you keep in the cartridge, forget about the stupid idiot gauge on the ink levels. The more ink you keep in the cartridge, the better off you're going to be. But it's still going to pop up and say cannot recognize, so you have to take it out, check it, If it needs filling, fill it, put it back in, ink level goes back up. But this right here, the only sheets I'm running, if you ran normal pages, you know, with some blue, some magenta, some black, I mean, you're looking at 1,000 or more. That's because all their ink coverage is figured on a 5% original. Well, that's a lot more than a 5% original. So I'm still waiting, and then I'll show you before I end this video. When you're using refillable cartridge, it's going to come up and say, cannot recognize the ink cartridge. Now it's going to show the cyan with a red X. That's the only one you want to take out and fill. You don't want to fill the other ones. Now if you fill them, you're just going to be out of sync. Because I printed a lot of pages. I come over. Now I'll take it out. And I've got a little bit left on the bottom, just like an Epson cartridge. Now I'll take the plug out here and fill it. Now we're using no prime cartridges. We like this style. Ones where you have to go in and prime them all the time, they always drop color more than these. Now this is our black XXL black. Holds a lot of black ink. But even though it's a larger size, it's still going to operate the same. Got it filled. Put it back in. Click it down and then shut top. That's going to go check in the cartridge. Now sometimes you'll lose the sheet of paper, but I canceled the printing. Okay, there it comes back up again. Now it's going to have an exclamation. Now you notice the low warning light is out, but well, it's telling you it's not genuine Epson cartridge. It's got to be there. It's got to say that because you don't want to violate any patents, and you don't want to tell people that they are when they're not. So just say okay. Now each model might be a little different. This is the 7710 Workforce. Keep answering the questions, and there you are. That's how simple it was. That's when you can drop a color also. So what you gotta do is fill it back up, do up to 3 cleanings only, and if that doesn't work, then use that little trick I show you with a syringe. The tip of the syringe and go in there. Make sure you put the paper towel down, otherwise you'd have ink all inside your printer. It's going to go into a minor cleaning right now, and then it'll print out. I just filled it. Perfect. Perfect. That's how simple it is. Now when you get our cartridges, follow the instructions. You know, it'll tell you in there, it'll remind you that you have to wait till you see cannot recognize, then you fill it up. Now if you're going to be running long runs, say 50, 75, set it on better quality every time. You'll have less problems. So go to inkproducts.com for American-made ink, guaranteed not to clog a printhead.